All right, welcome to All Day on this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Boy, I wish I had a seatbelt in here because this is going to be one of those days as we deal with the aftermath of the winter weather, which is still, of course, creating some havoc on the roadways just in time for people to take to the roadways to get to where they're going over the river and through the woods. Here's what is on tap for today. Of course, that wintry mess that's out there. We're talking about all things travel here. We're going to take a look at the road conditions out there, not just here in the metro, but across the state. Also a look at what's going on at the airport. Of course, the other big news here involves the Vikings preparing to play this weekend, not at home, so we don't have to worry about traveling to the Vikings game unless you're going out to Seattle. Kevin O'Connell will be live right around 12:45, and we may get, expecting certainly to be addressed, the quarterback update with J.J. McCarthy out in concussion protocol, and will Max Brosmer get the start here? We're going to be talking about Target troubles. You know, this is we head into the busiest shopping weekend and the holiday shopping kicks off. A big weekend obviously for Target, but they've had some stumbles recently. We'll try to get some insight from a marketing expert at the Carlson School of Management. And later in the show, you know, we're talking about a follow-up to tariffs. Of course, it's been more than 6 months since tariffs, especially on China, went into effect and hit a lot of businesses that import from there, including a business down in Rochester, that really this affected them pretty hard, but they, you know, did a little bit of a pivot too. We're going to talk to that owner about how they've responded to this. And a unique thing happening on Friday with the Minnesota Wild. With FanDuel Sports, the first time ever, there'll be an alternate broadcast offered in the Ojibwe-language. Ojibwe-language, pardon me, there you go. Very interesting, but of course, all attention right now on what is going on outside with the weather. A lot of it now is the cleanup and the wind and the colder temperatures that are affecting how the roads react. So we're going to start with the hardest working man in meteorology this morning, Mr. Keith Marler, who's been up and at 'em since I don't even know what time it was, Keith. You've probably lost track of even what day it is.
No, it's all good. Well, the snow, what's nice about a day like today is it all comes overnight. So yes, we were all up early this morning. Jared was on the air at 2:30 this morning. I may have been up since 1:30 or so as the snow was rolling on in. But no, I didn't have to go on the air until 6 o'clock this morning. So I'm still fresh as a rose as we go on out. And by that point, again, it's all about, I love events like this because they come when most people are in bed. Certainly, and yes, it's a big impact this morning, but everything's tapering off as most people are getting up. So it gives MnDOT time when most people aren't on the roads to try to stay up with things. And then while most people are hitting the roads this morning, we're on the tail end of it all. Now, that being said, there are some folks that aren't done with it all, and I'm pointing to you, northern section of Wisconsin, where the snow machine off of Lake Superior continues to churn. And if you're from there, or if you have family there, if you're traveling there, you know this is a problem. And so hopefully with the holiday, and if this is your travel day, you know that this is not what you do. You do not travel here on a day like today. Parts of Highway 2 become just impossible to drive on as we go on out the door. And that's why our totals are just nuts up there. That's a 12 plus, because the plus is for a lot. The plus is for another 12 if you're not careful up there. Already another 6 for some up there. But in the metro, some of our totals so far as this is wrapped up, it wrapped up in the 7, the 8 o'clock this morning. The south side of the metro, some 1 to 3s. Officially at the airport, 3.1 inches of snow as of 7 o'clock this morning when things were winding down quite nicely. And again, everything pretty much was out the door, very little after 7 a.m. On north side of town, we saw 3.7 in Maple Grove. We saw 4s and 5s along the 494 and 610 corridor, 5.5, so 3 to 6 inches across parts of the bands that you see there in pink, and then 6 to 9s in central Minnesota overall. Some specifics for you as we go on out. 17 inches in Drummond, Wisconsin. That's the highest I've seen so far. That's in that 12 plus zone along the snow belt. That's just right south of Highway 2 there. Blueberry, Wisconsin on Highway 2 up in northern Wisconsin is at 15 inches of snow. Brainerd 7.7, Minong, Wisconsin at 9.3. Oh, I went out of order there, didn't I? 6.5 in Rush City, Malacca coming in at 6 inches. Cable, Wisconsin, another footer right there. Again, with that lake enhancement. St. Cloud coming in just shy of 5 inches of snow. Ashland, Wisconsin at 9 inches. 6.5 in Otter Tail County up toward the northwest. Pelican Rapids 6.3. Garfield 5. There's that 3.1 at the airport. Chanhassen at the National Weather Service reported in just earlier this morning at 2.5 inches of snow. Monticello coming in at 2 inches of snow. That was in the middle of the night last night. I probably need to fix that one. 28 degrees out the door right now. Dew point 19. It's a dry atmosphere once again, and that's one of the reasons why the last 2 or 3 hours of the snow was very fine and powdery. The dry atmosphere drying out that very wet splat that we got through the night last night. Again, we didn't convert from rain to snow until 7 and 9 o'clock last night. I did not convert here in the Northwest Metro until almost 8:30 or 9 o'clock before I started to see stuff attached to the ground with that snow splatting around a little bit, and that slush weighed in on itself, so getting a good measurement is just difficult indeed over the course of the morning hours. But that northwest wind coming in, actually 24 miles per hour, is one of our lower sustained wind speeds, so a wind chill of 14 was actually kind of nice at the moment. But the gusts will get you every time. Our gust at 33 miles per hour, actually one of our lower wind gusts over the past few hours. We've had winds gusting to 40 and 45 miles per hour all morning long. Just last hour in the 11 o'clock hour, we had another wind gust to 41 miles per hour. So again, we stay with winds gusting between pretty much 30 and 40, occasionally 40 plusers at times for the rest of the afternoon overall. But the snow continues from a large scale area of low pressure getting on out of here for the afternoon, but it will stay with northern Wisconsin with that lake enhancement all afternoon long into the UP. So again, travel into northern Wisconsin, Highway 2 toward the UP, not advised for the day-to-day. The rest of us, it's all about high-profile vehicles and wind concerns with your driving. Driving into the wind or crosswinds, always a problem, up and down 35 especially, with those wide-open areas and semis. You don't want to be driving next to a semi in those big gusty winds that'll just take people out with those semis. We've seen those jackknife trailers up and down 35. Lauren's going to have some of those details. As we go overnight tonight into tomorrow, we lessen the breezes certainly. We'll have a bit of a quiet period for tomorrow. Still a bit breezy, but so cold. We're frozen now, Rob, and this is just day 1 of the freeze. We're going to count those days. We're going to get to day 10 or 11 or 12. It's going to be a while before we thaw again. And then a quiet day on Friday as well. So Thanksgiving's peaceful, Friday's peaceful, but then Friday night, our next system approaches. Now, this is a Dakotas to Iowa system. So if you got people traveling into or from Iowa and they're going back on Saturday or even on Sunday, you're going to have something to maybe travel into. This is Friday night around midnight or so. We're going to get a glancing blow here in the metro. We might have to pull out the shovels again. We'll see on Saturday for us in the Twin Cities, but certainly southern Minnesota, the Iowa border, northern Iowa has a little something that they're going to have to bite off of. For today, though, we stay in the 20s, though, Rob. All things said and done, it's a cold day. It's frozen, but the wind chills take a bite. That 15 for a wind chill is based on a sustained wind speed of 20 to 30 miles per hour. That does not take into account gusts. Temporary wind chills with a wind gust, when you get that whoof coming at you, your wind chill temporarily goes down to 0 or below. That bite that you feel with a wind gust, that's that ha. That's not welcome. Remember the Sunday we just had with our record high, 56 degrees?
Yes, very
Remember
well.
2 weeks ago with our 70s on Saturday? Or was that just a week and a half ago? I don't even remember at this point. It's all a vague memory. 21 degrees overnight tonight, feels like 9 with an occasional gust. And the Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, by the way, coming up tomorrow, 27 degrees, feels like 17 at times, an occasional breeze here and there. Do you want to see the 7-day forecast?
Yeah, let's do it, because I think we're not going to get too warm anytime soon.
I'll eclipse that for the moment. 25 on our Friday, and then, yeah, there's that snow potential for our Friday night and Saturday, again, mainly for southern Minnesota. We might have to pull out a little bit of shovel something for Saturday, a different type of snow with that one. And then cold air, another batch comes in here, so teens for highs. Sunday and into Monday. That 14 on Monday is the metro area. Parts of our state will have single-digit highs with another burst of colder air. So we start to rebound, but if I had a 9 or a 10 or an 8, a 9, a 10-day forecast, there's nothing average. Now, average is falling. Average today is 37. By December 1st, average is around 34. We're not meeting average anytime soon.
We've been well above. Now we're going to be well below. It all comes out in the wash.
And we're going to stay frozen at least for the next week and a half, if not 2 weeks.
But keeping an eye on, of course, travel conditions today and tomorrow, and then this weekend if you're coming back from the southwest.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Thanks, Keith. And as we continue to talk about travel, because that's really what this is impacting here, because it is this holiday weekend. Wow, look at this. And we got to bring in Lauren here now. Hello. Because, oh my, this has been, and this is again, any other time of year, this would be a nuisance storm. It's a busy travel time storm, and that's the thing.
Yeah, that has been an interesting part of today, Rob, because normally in the mornings when we have events like this, especially early in the season, we say stay home if you can. If you have any reason that you can just stay home, work from home, do it. But today's the day before Thanksgiving. If you're going to Grandma's for Thanksgiving, you're going to go to Grandma's. So we want to make sure you get there safely. And across the Twin Cities, driving conditions are just about back to normal. We are driving speed limit on some major roadways. But as you can see, Greater Minnesota, different scenario. This is Cloquet, a very windy shot of Cloquet. 35 just south of Duluth. It looks like we have a vehicle off in the ditch here. I don't have a great view of it, but what we do have a great view of is that we are down to one lane in both directions across 35 this morning. Wind and ice have both played issues. I'm going to show you a couple of camera shots from across the state because I know folks are headed all over the place into the Twin Cities and out of the Twin Cities. An interesting observation in our one-lane travel up in northern Minnesota. Folks are driving over those snowy roadways. In the Twin Cities and in southern Minnesota, they did not. They stuck to one lane. I wonder if that has something to do with how many people have snow tires. But here's a look at Northwest Metro. My cameras have been moving slowly today, but over in Rothsay near Fergus Falls, also one lane both directions. This is a video shot, I promise you. Traffic volume has been quite low around here. North of here toward the Fargo area and toward North Dakota, part of 94 still closed in both directions because of a crash that happened a couple of hours ago. It sounds like in this hour we should be fully reopened on 94, but this is what things look like basically from the Brainerd Lakes area north. Alexandria, things are looking a little bit better, but then in southern Minnesota we're dealing with about half a dozen jackknife semis actively, and that has to do with wind that Keith was saying. Those high profile vehicles definitely at risk of blowing off the road. This one happened about 2 hours ago. Law enforcement finally on the scene. It's been taking a couple of extra minutes too for tow trucks to arrive. They are busy today, as well as those snow plows. Roads looking clear here on 35, so this appears to have been a wind issue. And like I said, 5 or 6 jackknife semis right now between Mankato and Rochester in southern Minnesota. I have a lot of ice-covered cameras, so it's hard to see exactly what's going on. Here in the Twin Cities, like I said, we are basically back to normal. Dry roads, or at least clear roads. We're just struggling in these intersections, as well as overpasses, bridges, ramps, and those other spots that are harder to treat and harder to plow. This is Highway 65 in the East Bethel area at Constance Boulevard. I think this person got stuck. They might be doing utility work here, but as you can see, we're dealing with that yucky slush all across intersections in the Twin Cities. Even as MnDOT plows are getting through these roads, it's hard to plow them, especially with all of this traffic that's moving across the northern metro and beyond. This is the first time all morning that we've had a green traffic map. Early this morning we were in the yellow and orange, not because of traffic volume, but just because of speeds. People were taking it so slow on the major roads. Green drive times, green roads here means that speeds are almost back up to normal and traffic volume is still pretty low. So if you're trying to time out your drive, headed out of town or headed somewhere into the Twin Cities, now is looking like an okay time to head out the door. Rob, just make sure, give the vehicle in front of you plenty of space, and watch out for snow plows. They're working for all of us.
Yeah, and notice traffic volumes are significantly down this morning, which is good. Last night they were
a lot of no work.
Yeah, last night they were terrible. And of course, as you're talking about the wind in southern Minnesota, that wind can also, with the blowing snow, kind of glaze the roads in spots too, and that's another issue. Yeah,
so take it easy. Even if the roads look good, we could be dealing with wind and ice, and that's when things get really dangerous.
Okay, well, safe travels to everybody here. Thank you, Lauren. We'll check back in with you a little bit later, maybe. This just in, up in Duluth, this is Bayfront Park. Bentleyville, which is the giant Christmas light extravaganza that has been hosted there for a number of years. It is closed tonight. This is a live look. The winter storm that hit Duluth so hard caused some significant damage at the site. It may not look significant, things blown over, but again, enough that they need to repair this stuff before they can reopen. So again, Bentleyville will be closed tonight. And the other problem too is that the winds are still blowing up there at a pretty strong clip. Bentleyville on their website was saying as much as 45 miles an hour at this point, and the pictures certainly show some strong winds there. So Bentleyville says for everybody's safety and the need for repairs, they're shutting down while while the damage is assessed and fixed. They hope to be back open tomorrow into the holiday, for the holiday and going into the weekend. But a lot of work to do there in conditions that aren't so much fun. Okay, of course, we got to go out and about here to see on conditions in real time. And so let's check in with my colleague Corin Hoggard, who got the duty today to go out there and stand along roadways in the cold. Always fun in a manner of speaking. What are we seeing today, Corin?
Well, it looks a lot different today than it did yesterday, Rob. I got to say, I was out here suffering while Keith and Lauren were talking because, you know, Keith's talking about the winds at 24 miles an hour sustained. They are whipping in my face here on the Plymouth Avenue Bridge just outside of downtown Minneapolis. Yesterday, I was out here about the same time, and it was foggy. You couldn't see downtown back there, but you know, people were enjoying the temperatures, and they were out here running or walking the dogs or whatever. And today, it's, you know, there are cars passing on the bridge, but bikes. It's a ghost town here right now.
Yeah, that's what I noticed, is that the traffic is significantly down, you know, which again, day before the holiday, a lot of people have it off. Maybe they're going to be preparing to head out of town, or just don't want to brave the roads. I mean, how do the roads, from what you can see and what you experience getting around, how they feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I drove 35 and 490 to Eden Prairie, and then I drove 62 and Penn Avenue and 35 again to get back up here to Boom Island. And, you know, well plowed, well taken care of. We saw MnDOT out on the roads with their plows and with whatever they're spreading. If it's sand or salt today, I'm not quite sure. But the roads seem fairly good here in the metro area. I didn't really have a problem with that. It's just trying to go about your business doing anything other than driving today is seems pretty nasty. It's the wind, really, Rob. Like, those temperatures aren't bad at all, you know that.
Yeah.
But this wind is just terrible. I wish I could demonstrate for you here, but there aren't any leaves on the tree whipping, but it is blowing pretty hard, and my face is going to be frostbitten just from the wind.
Well, we'll keep this short then. Appreciate you. I noticed the same thing driving in. The roads were pretty good. I mean, except ramps, you know, turning corners. That's, I mean, what you normally expect here. But that cold air, certainly not a day that you want to be risky with any of that driving and wind up in a ditch, because it's so cold out there with that wind.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing also I noticed, is that there wasn't a single or anybody off the ditch on my drive. They dealt with it really well as drivers, or MnDOT handled it very well on the road, or both.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that, because we'll let you warm up, because I know what that's like out there. Thanks, Corin. We'll check in with you later, I hope. All right. Of course, also keeping an eye on the airports today, because that's the other affected part of travel, and certainly a big day at the airports as well. Amber, I know you said you had to drop somebody off this morning.
I did, yes. I dropped off my friend Emma. So Emma, if you're watching somewhere right now, you're welcome. I did not want to, but I did, because that's what friends do.
Yes.
And it was busy, but not atrocious, Rob. I honestly thought it would maybe be worse. I dropped her off at Terminal 2, and the line for people waiting to go through security was, like, you know, when you come up at the departures, and they've got the Skyway over, the line is like all the way through
the Skyway. I've experienced that too.
I couldn't see the end of it from my car, at least. My friend had TSA pre-check, so lucky for her.
That's helpful.
She got to skip it. But once she was in, she said it wasn't too bad. She sent me a video, and you know, it's busy, but it wasn't crazy.
It's what you'd expect.
Yes, it's a holiday.
Yeah,
it's a holiday.
So what are we looking at today, right now? I mean, as I looked at some of those numbers, it didn't seem to be significant impacts on air travel.
Not terrible, not terrible. So, Leo, can we take the producer PC? This is the FlightAware misery map here. The red is what's going wrong, more or less, if you will. They're reporting about 35 delays right now, but there are hundreds of delays nationally, as there are a couple other storm fronts or extensions of this storm front moving through. Chicago getting hit pretty hard, and you can see there's a little bit over Denver, and then stuff is creeping towards the East Coast. When I'm looking at FlightAware's stats, I'm seeing that there were 168 delays all day so far. So that 35 number is like current time, how many are delayed right now. But all day so far, 168. But Rob, only 5 cancellations. So it's really not having
and that's at MSP.
Impact. This is at MSP,
yeah.
5 cancellations.
Yeah, and when I looked earlier, FlightAware, when this is all flights within or in and out of the U.S., about 1,800 total delays and just over 50 cancellations nationwide.
Yeah.
So things seem to be moving in terms of that.
They're doing okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
What did we had some other notes in here. Hang on a second.
Security wait times are pretty quick.
47,000 people going through security at MSP International today.
It's busy, but you know, MSP's got a solid system down, so it's going okay.
And the wait times at checkpoints, last time you checked, under 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so they're looking good.
That's pretty good. Okay, well, we've got a lot to get to yet here as we continue to track how this affects your travel plans here today. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about an update on what we covered extensively yesterday during this program, which was that federal operation in St. Paul. More information from the Department of Homeland Security, what they're saying about it, what the St. Paul police are saying about it, and what community activists this morning were saying about this as well. And we're going to head up to the North Shore to check in there too about what's been happening up there. We're back in a couple of minutes. Wow. This is Madeline Island, northern Wisconsin, which just got a deluge, as Keith was talking about up there. So this is what it looks like now as they continue to weather kind of the worst of the snowstorm as it's still happening. We'll be right back on All Day. All right, taking a look live. This a Nest camera. Amber, I'm sorry, where'd you say that? The Gunflint Trail. Oh, wow, yeah. So this is way up north. If you go to Grand Marais up the North Shore and then take a left out of town all the way up towards Canada along the Gunflint Trail. And, just fittingly, I happened to pull out my Gunflint Trail coffee mug this morning just by happenstance. It's a great spot to be, but they are also dealing with the aftermath of this. A lot of snow in northern Minnesota. Of course, northern Wisconsin, as we just showed you, Madeline Island, northern Wisconsin. That stretch there kind of along the South Shore of Superior. They're still in a blizzard warning until midnight from Superior east to Bayfield, Wisconsin. But I was looking at storm totals. 10.3 inches at the airport in Duluth. As you get down towards shore, then it gets down to 4 to 6, something like that. 4 to 8, maybe. Up towards Grand Marais, up to 15 inch in spots. But the Gunflint Trail between 4 to 8 inches, maybe around there. Anyway. Is that he's been waiting on the line for a while, so let's bring in Gunflint Lodge owner John Fredrickson with the appropriate winter headwear. I love that, John. Appreciate you hanging on for us as we got a lot to talk about. You're up there. Basically, you can look across the lake at the Canadian side of things right there. That's how far north. What are you seeing up there? What's your experience been with the snow?
Yeah, that was our webcam off our patio looking across to Canada, and had to get a little bit away from there. The wind is kind of a little bit brutal today. But we got about 6 to 8 inches in the woods. Nice good cover, good start to the winter season.
So what did this kind of kick in, kind of much like we saw here overnight? And I see obviously it's still coming down?
It's still coming down. We started about 2:30 yesterday. I started seeing flakes. I was out just doing some last minute stuff on some of the trails, kind of ready to get the cross-country ski season going, so started seeing flakes then. Was out on the trails a little bit today, packing them already, and got a nice good cover again, about 6 inches on the ground.
Well, that's good. I mean, in terms of kicking off the winter season up there, which is a beautiful winter wonderland and a great place for people to go enjoy the outdoors, this kind of helps give you a nice start to it. What is it like actually at this point anyway, it'll change, getting to where you are?
We've had people, we got a lot of people checking in today. Most people are still planning on making the drive up. I don't think it's too horrible. Our roads are already plowed. The county's really good about getting up here and getting things plowed out. So we're looking at pretty much a full house tonight.
Well, that's good. What is this kind of snowfall? I mean, obviously you deal with the good and the bad being travel, but the good being this is, your beautiful place all year round, and this is kind of what you live for this time of year.
Yeah, snows are what makes our winter season. Obviously, people want to come up and do snowshoeing on the trails or cross-country skiing or snowmobiling. So we appreciate getting as much snow as we can, that's for sure.
Yeah. What's it feeling like right now? I see the fur keeping your head warm.
Yeah, like I came up to Lonely Lake here to get out of the wind. It's on the back of the property, kind of sheltered, which was kind of nice, and just to show what things look like in the woods. It's chilly. I haven't looked at the temperature today, but not too bad.
All right. And what are you looking for weather-wise then heading through the weekend here?
I'm here. We got some more snow coming on Sunday, so we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we can get a couple of the ski trails open and start getting the cross-country ski season started.
All right. Well, again, there you go. It's the bright spot. The downside, again, as we mentioned, is getting to where you need to go. But once you get there, and as you say, things are looking pretty good to get there, you can really enjoy it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, John. Thanks for joining us up there from the basically the Minnesota side of the Canadian border, up in
for sure.
One of our favorite spots. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right. Other news today we got to get to, aside from the weather, and that is getting a little bit more clarity today on that federal operation on St. Paul's east side yesterday that was occurring during this show. It led to a large crowd that gathered there, led to certainly some conflicts, led to some injuries too after tear gas was used and some other things there. Information now from the Department of Homeland Security confirmed the arrest of one man, Victor Molina Rodriguez, who they say had been previously deported to Honduras. He's native of Honduras, had already been deported. They say he then re-entered the U.S. illegally. And as we looked at court records, it showed that he had been arrested in St. Paul in 2023 for domestic assault. Well, this morning also a news conference from community activists who were among the crowd that responded there to the scene once they got reports that it appeared to be an ICE operation, other federal agencies. They are also helping the family who lives in the home where that arrest took place. Here's what one of them had to say.
We met with the family this morning. One of our partner organizations has been with them since yesterday. They're shocked. They're in disbelief that this is happening to them. They are very concerned about their safety, and we're working with them to make sure that their basic needs are met, but also trying to figure out how do we provide a little bit more safety and legal support as they continue navigating this uncertain future.
These groups also calling on local police departments to end all cooperation with federal agencies. Now, St. Paul Police Chief Axel Henry reiterated last night they do not take part in immigration actions, but they did respond to the scene for public safety reasons to assist in crowd control. Concerned when the crowd appeared to push through the perimeter around the federal agents. Chief Henry said he personally witnessed the crowd appearing to throw things and said all use of force, including tear gas and the less than lethal rounds, will be thoroughly reviewed in the wake of this incident. All right, we got to take a quick break here. We're going to check in with Keith Marler and Lauren Andrego again on weather and traffic and talk about a tough year for Target as we head into a busy holiday shopping season and Black Friday, what this might mean for them in the weeks ahead. We'll get some insight from somebody at the Carlson School of Management and Marketing. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Fox 9 All Day. Meteorologist Keith Marler here at 12:33 in the afternoon. Here's some updated snowfall totals for you. Updated list continues to be pumped out on Fox Local on your app at 12 to 18 plusers now. We got a report officially in the UP of Michigan, just to the east of Ironwood, at 18 inches of snow from that snow machine. A lot of 9 to 12s into northern Wisconsin. Again, travel not advised there as the lake enhanced machine keeps going. In the metro, 2.5 to 5.5 inches of snow, around 6 to 8 plusers across central Wisconsin. Again, we'll have an updated list coming up around 1 p.m. All the organized snow out of here. The only snow we got going on today is right along that, again, northern part of Wisconsin, thanks to lake enhancement. Otherwise, cloud cover and so very blustery for the day today, with winds gusting to 30 and 40 miles per hour. Holding temperatures in the 20s, that's not budging, but our wind chills in the single digits and teens all day as the cloud cover lingers. For your Thanksgiving day tomorrow, we'll keep it in the mid-20s for highs here in the Twin Cities, and the breezes relax with partly cloudy sky. If you're traveling in the upper Midwest, pretty easy-going weather as everybody relaxes a little bit. Heading down to the south, sunshine and trying to thaw out in Des Moines at 32. 40s down in St. Louis and Kansas City, so cool but comfortable, better than we are with a thaw. Cold 20s with cloud cover, but no active weather out across the Dakotas. That doesn't come until Friday across the Dakotas. Same thing up in Winnipeg. And then Green Bay quiets down. Clean up after today's snow. Marquette will still have some snow going through the UP, though, with that lake enhancement in the 20s. Out towards the East Coast, if you're flying out there, much colder than today's 60s and 70s. They get the cold blast out there with highs in the 30s and 40s. I'll have more details, of course, coming up right around 1 o'clock. But right now, let's get a check of how the roadways are. They're cleaned up, but those winds are still causing some trouble. Lauren?
12:34, 35 in southern Minnesota continues to cause major problems. South of Lakeville to the Iowa border, 3 separate incidents between Faribault and Albert Lee this morning, all causing separate backups. I showed you a jackknife semi in Clarks Grove for about 2 hours. It has been unjackknifed, which is great news. Here in the Twin Cities, I am only seeing 1 crash right now, and we're just having issues on those ramps and turns and overpasses and bridges. This is in East Bethel on Highway 65 north of the Blaine area. 2 vehicles here. It looks like one pushed the other into the bridge or into the ditch. Tow truck here on the scene. Across the Twin Cities, though, drive times back to green, normal driving conditions, clear roads on the majority of our major highways. Rob, but as you head out of town, northern and southern Minnesota is still dealing with many partially covered snow and icy roads.
Yeah, and that's something to keep out for. As you mentioned, the winds, too, causing some problems, not just with vehicle profiles, but with making those roadways slick to blowing snow. All right, thank you, Lauren. This weekend, of course, kicks off the big holiday shopping season. Black Friday, always a major day for retailers. It got that name because that's when they say, you know, it pushed them into the black for the year. A huge day, obviously, historically, for hometown retailer Target, who partake in a lot of those things to lure you in. But of course, Target's taken some hits lately. In October, they cut 1,800 positions. Earlier this month, their quarterly earnings report showed another drop in sales. Overall sales have been a bit stagnant for a few years. So we want to bring in Professor George John with the Carlson School of Management to discuss what the retail giant can do to right the ship here. They've been trying to do a lot of things to right themselves. Do we have the professor? There you are. Thanks for joining us today. This has been something that's been a discussion for the last few years, is Target has dealt with various issues. Best Buy as well, trying to do things to sort of rethink their strategy. What do you think for Target, though, is their biggest problem at the moment leading to some of these not meeting their sales expectations?
Right. I think it's a combination of the recent history since the pandemic and some missteps in Target's part. Let's not forget that during the pandemic, Target had amazing growth, largely because they and Walmart were allowed to stay open when most other stores are closed. So it's unrealistic for us to expect that they could continue on that path that they had in 21, 22, especially. But where they diverge from Walmart is that after the pandemic crisis is over, Walmart managed to keep their steady growth, and Target has not. I attribute that to some missteps and some bad luck. They've managed to alienate various constituencies of shoppers. But those are things you can overcome pretty quickly. The research tells us that things that are shocks can be overcome. I think Target's longer run problem is that they've kind of lost their way a little bit on what we used to think of Target as. You know, expressions like cheap chic, things like that really did express a certain brand image at Target. You got things that were a little bit more expensive than a discount is, but you got things that were fresher, more fashionable, etc. And that's what they have to kind of get back to.
Yeah, you mentioned some missteps here where, there were some issues with some of the merchandise they were offering that angered conservatives, and then they have kind of rolled back some of their DEI policies that angered liberals. I mean, these are still things that they're dealing with, and you think they will continue to deal with that backlash?
Not necessarily. I think Target's in the unenviable position of having ticked off just about everybody. So I think these kinds of shocks are one-time events, and if you're a reasonably managed company, you kind of get out of it. It's a little bit like Tylenol poisoning scandals of decades ago. All these kinds of things come and hit companies, and as long as you don't continue making missteps, you can get out of it. It's much harder to get back to that, let's say, mojo that they had a few years ago, where we thought something of Target and that brand would deliver on that. That's the bigger challenge. And I think they're taking the steps to do that, but time will tell if that works.
What do you think the Amazon effect is here? Obviously, the old joke would be, you run to Target to buy one thing and you walk out with $100 worth of stuff. Is that not happening because people are maybe, their Target runs are now Amazon clicks?
Well, yes and no. I think we overestimate how much is actually bought online. If you look at the government data, even today, all online sales is only about 18 or 19% of all retail sales, okay? And just remember, retail sales is a huge number. The National Retail Federation expects that we're going to spend $1 trillion with a T dollars this holiday season. So there's a lot of money to be made if you can give people a reason to come into your store and actually convince them that what you have as merchandise is worth the price you're charging.
So in your view right now, then the kind of the long-term look at Target's health, you think they've got a path out of their recent stumbles?
Yes, I do. And when I look at, I hate to forecast because we're always wrong, but if you look at what they've done recently, they're trying to go back to some of the things they did before. They're trying to connect with exclusive collaborations with Woolrich and some of the other folks, much in the way they used to have things like dresses by Stella McCartney, which would cost $200 instead of $20,000. It was a PR exercise, and they've been very good at doing those kinds of things, and I see them going back to those kind of things.
All right. Well, there you go. And Black Friday will be always interesting. They've always been among the ones that are very, very busy with a lot of things to lure people in and maybe stand in line. Professor George John at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota, thanks for joining us. Have a good holiday and safe holiday weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to take a break, but Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell addressing the media scheduled for 12:45. We'll see if that happens right on time. You never know. But certainly a lot to talk about here with what happens with the quarterback, with J.J. McCarthy and concussion protocol, as we heard earlier on Monday. We'll be right back as we go on Kevin O'Connell watch here on All Day. Welcome back to All Day on this cold, windy, blustery Wednesday as everybody heads out of town over there. This is a day too. I mean, the roads are not busy, but this is always a day where about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you go to any liquor store or grocery store and they become I enjoy it. I like that kind of mayhem, that activity. That's when you see things picking up.
I agree. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving is also interesting too, because all the college kids are coming home, and I don't know if this is like corrective for me to whatever, but people call it Blackout Wednesday for a lot of small towns when all the kids, if you will, the college kids are back home and everyone's hitting up their little towny bars.
Oh yeah.
But it's a awful night for drunk driving.
For enforcement, yeah. I mean, this is something that you got to, if you're partaking in that, and I know I got a son coming home from Mankato today who's going to be doing that tonight, because it really becomes sort of a high school reunion night where everybody's home and everybody hangs out with their high school friends that are all home from college on Wednesday night before they go do the family activities for the rest of the weekend. So it very much is that we're going to go meet our friends.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Rob, I really quick want to show people inside TCO Performance Center. We can take that $3, Chris. Thank you. We're waiting for Kevin O'Connell any minute here, hoping, Rob, for an update on what the quarterback situation is heading into Sunday.
We'll get some kind of update.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that's topic number one. Whether or not we get any clarity on that today, it remains to be seen.
And of course, you know, as people likely know, J.J. McCarthy put into concussion protocol. We learned that on Monday when we heard from Kevin O'Connell live during this press conference. So we'll see what we find out today. Sometimes it is a, you know, big news day with him. So we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. Of course, that game Sunday afternoon in Seattle facing the man who led the Vikings last year, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people think, gosh, I wish we could have kept him for another year. And I remember that at the time, the issue was Sam didn't want to sign a one-year deal. He wanted more than that. And as we're, you know, have got J.J. McCarthy waiting in the wings, we didn't want to have somebody here for an extended period of time. You know, that timing was a big issue there.
Yeah.
And so now, you know, will J.J. McCarthy be facing Sam Darnold, or will it be Max Brosmer, the former Gopher quarterback, the undrafted quarterback here? A lot of people are kind of curious, like, well, let's see what he's got.
Yeah, let the hometown boy show.
Yeah, so Kevin O'Connell could be walking in at any moment, of a couple minutes behind schedule, but that's pretty much normal.
Yeah. Maybe he got stuck in bad weather roads. I don't know. You know?
Maybe.
While we're waiting, Rob, we can talk about a little bit more weather stuff. I actually just saw this put into our newsroom Slack channel. Chris, can we take producer PC? This is from Winona. The Visit Winona, which is the tourism site, posted this photo online.
Ooh.
Winona is now Inna. Obviously that said Winona at this time yesterday. It no longer does. Winds are crazy today. Obviously this is happening all over the state, not just in Winona. We've seen damage up in Bentleyville. In fact, Bentleyville closed tonight because of the damage and the sustained kind of bad, risky conditions up there. They're saying up to 45-mile-an-hour winds
today. And when you looked at the live camera from up there too, I mean, you could see it really whipping along there.
Yeah, we could actually take that. Chris, could we take Cam 27 right now if you're able? So that live camera up there is showing the winds just flying. So we've kind of widened out that shot a bit, but you can see. Yeah,
there's a flag right there in the
flag is going
right center.
I've seen like the snow gusts just being tore across the park.
It's kind of hard to see in this, but I mean, I know earlier we could see really the water in the bay there in Duluth really whipping around a little bit too. I mean, it would be, they've got things to fix, but also it would be a tad unpleasant to be out there right now too.
A tad? Yeah, I'd say more than a tad.
Well, you know, Minnesotan terms, it's just, it's fine.
Yeah, I say it sucks. I think somebody like Karen Scullin would agree with me too.
Well, she would agree. If it's below 60, she's cold.
You know, some people just aren't cut out for winter. I'm not saying I'm not cut out. I can handle it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, you don't have to like it. You just have to live with it. You know, the old saying is there's no bad weather, just bad clothing.
That's true, and that is why I bought a ankle-length Canada Goose parka.
I thought you were going to say ankle-length, like electrically heated bodysuit.
I'm not that dramatic. I do think Karen might actually have one of those for when she does field reporting in the winter, and I think Jennifer McDermott actually recommended that to her. So you know, sometimes you gotta just stay suited up, ready for anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we wind up as Corin is today, kind of outside for extended periods of time, especially when you're waiting to do a live shot. You know, when you're moving around, it's one thing, but when you're standing still, waiting because your turn is coming up, but you're waiting and waiting.
Yep.
Whew, that's when it gets really uncomfortable.
So you don't like when I'm in your ear and you're in the field and I'm saying, okay, Rob, stand by, stand by, stand
for like 5 minutes, stand by. Yeah, because
that's what Corin was doing for us earlier.
Correct, and that's the problem, is that when you're out and about covering snow and wind and cold, if you're moving around, it's one thing, but when you're just standing there in front of a camera waiting for your turn, that's when, you know, after a few minutes, you're just chilled to the bone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We were also talking, Rob, in the last, 12 hours, we saw a tweet from the National Weather Service in Duluth that the Hurley, Wisconsin, Ironwood, Upper Peninsula of Michigan area was expecting potentially several feet of snow in combination with this storm and lake effect. And we actually got a picture this morning from a local snowmobile club. So Chris, we could show this graphic here. The White Thunder Riders sending this to us. You can tell some of this is, drift buildup.
Sure.
But still, it
shows you the extent of this storm, the way it hit up there, and the winds, because the way it's drifted on the top of the building there.
Yeah.
Shows you. I mean, that reminds me of like the Dakotas sometimes too, where you'll just get that wind blowing.
Rob, here comes KOC.
Oh, here we go.
I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you enjoy your holiday tomorrow. We will have a pretty normal Thursday. We're just going to speed up the process, start a little earlier, and try to get the players out of here to enjoy the afternoon with their families. But we are looking ahead to Seattle, firmly in the preparation right now. Really good football team, tough place to go win, as we found out last year. Able to find a way to win that game in the end. So environment, noise, really, really well-coached team in all three phases. So we've got to, find a way to have maybe our best week of preparation all season as a team and go play well. Our team's played well at certain times, on the road this year, handled some environments. So we've got to absolutely bring some of that experience with us to go get this thing done. I'll open it up to you guys.
Kevin, is there a 0 hour for J.J. McCarthy? Does it have to be today? Does it have to be Friday?
He'll, he's cleared enough of the, the protocol to at least participate in a limited capacity today. That's kind of part of the next phases of it. He's in the protocol, and kind of as that goes, and as the medical kind of process plays out. I think, as far as the 0 hour, I don't necessarily know if we're looking at, at it like that, but you do want to take into account what has his preparation been like, what has the practice week been like with what he's able to do, while also knowing that, ultimately this is not talking about a hand or an ankle or anything like that. We're talking about his head, and it's obviously something that, as a former player and just kind of thinking about it from that context, we want to for sure make sure we defer to the medical team, but then also, what we feel is best, and we're still not in a place to declare anything yet. Just kind of listening to where it's at right now and where it could get to, but we're obviously gonna be smart, both for what's best for our team and what's best, most importantly, for JJ.
Will he get any team reps, JJ?
Today he's not cleared to officially do that yet. He can take part in individual. You'll see him throwing. You'll see him kind of working through the individual phase, and then as the week goes on, we'll be able to update you guys on what he's able to do.
How does that, when you're working through that and can't do the individual phase yet, how does that impact the way you prepare the team? Just knowing that if you can't take first team reps, then you can't really have the prep time you probably normally like in a week with them.
Yeah, I think the team's preparation is whether it's the plays, the what we think it's going to take to win the game. Max will take all the first team reps, and John will take the scout team reps, and that's kind of the plan for today, and take it a day by day approach from there. But as far as the plan and being in meetings and hearing the plan and all those things, and then being able to do individual is obviously critical for the continued belief that we're stacking a lot of hours and time on fundamentals and technique. So getting to do those things while also knowing we're kind of, as far as schematics go, we're kind of in a place in the season where if you're doing new things, there's really not a lot of those things. There's more tweaks and one-off changes to plays that maybe he's gotten some time on task on. So as far as the team goes, I think our preparation is important, and it's absolutely a huge part of hopefully what leads us to play well this Sunday, but I don't think it changes at all.
Were you with Narissaw and Donovan Jackson?
Yeah, both those guys, they will not participate today. Donovan obviously dealing, with his, with his ankle, and it's sore, but we've had we've had conversations about seeing what the rest of his week looks like as possibly being available for this week, but at the same time, he'll have to, kind of improve from where he's at right now to have a chance to play, which is very possible. And then, Christian's working through just some soreness, but hopefully, have a chance to get him some work here as the week goes on and determine his status for the game.
Yeah, with JJ, another setback, how are his spirits this week and what you observed?
Yeah, obviously the protocol can be tough sometimes for a player because it's kind of out of their hands, it's out of our hands, and you kind of just defer to the medical team. And when you want to be out there and you want to compete, it's not always the news that you want, but that's exactly why it's in place. So, a lot of things, like the protocol, is what makes you feel good about being in the head coach position where you don't have to worry about it being about a player's decision or my decision when in regards to something like this.
Can we talk about Max and processing? How do you pick up on that? Like, how did you guys identify early on that he was just good in that area?
Yeah, getting to go to his pro, he threw it 2 straight Minnesota Pro Days with the rules being what they are now. So getting 2 years of exposure, in the pre-draft process, getting to watch him throw the football, in person, and then both those times you're getting over there, you're spending time with those guys, you're having conversations with them, and then obviously being, really close with PJ and being able to kind of pick his brain a little bit throughout, long before Max ever even enters the draft process, when he first arrived from New Hampshire, and kind of his fit and what they were trying to do. And we've spent time with their coaching staff. They come over in the spring and, see him do some of those things. So that's the starting point. But I think you really don't know until you see a guy actively start going through reps, and you really don't know until you start seeing some things where it's great to always be able to, dot every I and cross every T from a installation standpoint. We try to be really detailed, but then there's a layer to it where you start seeing the timing click, and you start seeing maybe under less ideal circumstances, like in this preseason, where he's got, he's starting out a game against Tennessee, starting defense, and some pretty impactful players making it hard on him, and he's functioning and able to move the team and do some things that really solidified a lot of the things we were feeling on Max. But he's done nothing but just attack it every day and continue to understand that maybe the reps with Carson or JJ at different times in the season it's going to be pretty hard to come by. So he maximizes the practice squad reps, the look team reps, I should say, and he maximizes the meeting time and gets extra meetings with Jordan and Josh. And I think part of him and JJ being really close has allowed the two of them to kind of prepare together in many ways. So he's done everything to be ready when his number's been called, and he'll be ready if that's what takes place on Sunday, and I'll have a lot of confidence in him if that's what happens.
All right, there we go. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell addressing the media, wrapping up now. Still no clarity on J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer, who will start on Sunday afternoon, saying that J.J. is still in the concussion protocol, will take part in some limited practice here, but at this point they cannot say who will be starting quarterback Sunday.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. And Max is going through all the first team reps and, going through the motions, Rob. So.
Tough season for the Vikings. I mean, the last few years with quarterback turntable, a revolving door here where they've had a lot of challenges. But coming off last season where they went 14-3.
Right.
For the regular season, and feeling like this year that they'd only improved the team to build around a rookie quarterback, and then to have it kind of play out the way it has with injuries, and it's been rough.
Disappointing, to say the least.
And this is coming from a Packers fan, huh?
I feel for you guys. I do. I mean, we've had hard seasons. I love my legacy quarterback, so I can't complain too much about that. I can't relate. But I have empathy.
Well, Green Bay is the envy of the Vikings in terms of quarterback success. I mean, you look at the number that the Vikings have gone through, and then you look at the number that the Packers have gone through, managing to consistently find people who can stay there for a while.
Right.
So, all right, a lot of weather to talk about that we got to get on with as well.
Yeah, so coming up in the next hour, we're going to obviously check back in with Keith. I've got Lauren, Rob, I've got State Patrol waiting on the line. So let's hit a quick break, come back, and we'll run around the house.
Welcome back to All Day on this Wednesday, the day before the long holiday weekend. Rob Wilson in for Amy Hawker today. Hopefully everybody has a good weekend, staying safe and staying warm. And with that in mind, we're going to head right over to meteorologist Keith Marler as we talk about what we got, who's still getting snow up to the northeast, and the snow yet to come down to the south and southwest, Keith.
Yeah, as we went through the evening hours, I threw on an 18-hour radar loop. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, fancy.
So we could go all the way into yesterday evening as we transitioned from our rain to snow. We picked up about a quarter to a third of an inch of rain yesterday through the afternoon. And then yesterday between 6 and 9 o'clock, really I guess it was between 7 and 9 o'clock, we started to transition from that rain to the snow in the Twin Cities. And we wrapped it up between 7 and 9 o'clock this morning. So we had about 12 hours of snow here in the Twin Cities. And we picked up between 1.5 and 5.5 inches of snow from the far south metro to the far north metro overall. I'll go over some totals here and there, but that snow keeps on going. All the synoptic scale snow, the snow attached to our area of low pressure as the low pressure gets farther away, is getting on out of here and out of our viewing area as a whole. We're left with gusty, blustery flow around that area of low pressure coming on in here out of the north, gusting to 30 and 45 miles per hour. Sustained winds 20 or 30 miles per hour, but it's the gusts that are causing all the issues. Those gusts, I'll put little arrows on there, coming on in here and just bringing in that cold air. Temperatures are in the 20s, and that's where they're going to stay for the better part of the day today. But wind chills are in the single digits and teens. That's based on sustained winds. So every so often we get a good gust, and our wind chills will temporarily just drop. You'll get that blast of a gust, you get a blast of a wind chill closer to or even below zero. But that wind off of Lake Superior causes that lake-enhanced machine to just churn, and that's why we have so many just broad totals over already closing in over 1.5 feet as we travel across Highway 2 into parts of the UP. And as that breeze shifts a little bit, that snow machine moves on into the UP into tonight, tomorrow. So 12 to 18 inches have fallen along Highway 2 already into the UP across northern Wisconsin. That's not stopping for the day today. So again, if you're from there, if you have family there, you know the problems with that lake-enhanced machine, so you know you're not traveling there today, or you shouldn't, because that is hard to see through, let alone anything else. Everything else in terms of snowfall, yes, roads are problematic as things are being cleaned up across our Wisconsin zones in northern Minnesota, where we saw 6 to 9 inches of snow on average, 6 to 8.5 really. In the metro, South Metro, again, saw between 1.5 and 3 inches of snow, officially at the airport, 3.1 inches. But the North Metro saw some 3s and 4s in the Northwest Metro, but a lot of 4s and 5s, or 5.5s across parts of the north side of town. Here in the Twin Cities, we saw in Brooklyn, well, I'll get to that, I guess, in a second. I threw in here Drummond, Wisconsin, 17 inches of snow right there just south of Highway 2 in that snow zone. Brainerd, 7.7. Bayfield, Wisconsin, right there in part of that Lake Superior zone, 11.7 inches of snow, 6.5 in Rush City. Malacca, 6 inches of snow in that central Minnesota zone right there. Ashland, Wisconsin, I just threw that on there. That's a fresh one at 15 inches of snow now. And St. Cloud coming in just shy of 5 inches. St. Francis, that's fresh at 5.7 inches of snow. That's a new report, but from earlier this morning as things moved on out. Ham Lake in the North Metro at 5.3. Brooklyn Park, really it's the Brooklyn Park-Champlin border, 5 inches of snow. 4.7 in Albertville, 4.5 in Cambridge. Roseville coming in at 4.5 inches. In Apple Valley, par for the course there. Apple Valley, South St. Paul, over toward Rosemount, all came in that 2 to 2.5 inch range across parts of the Southeast Metro. Live look now in Maple Grove, where some kiddos are trying to go after the old ice loop there, ice rink there at the Central Park. 28 degrees, but a northwest wind at 28 miles per hour, gusting between 30 and 40. That gives us a wind chill of 13 out the door, and that's how we feel for the rest of the day today overall. The wind, gusting to 41 now. Yeah, that'll do it. Winds gusting between 30 and 40 plus miles per hour. This is our day with wind chills in the single digits and teens all day long. Just blustery and raw. The lake-enhanced snow machine keeps going. The breeze has settled down a little bit, and the gusts do too. And tomorrow, your Thanksgiving, quieter, a little breezy at times, partly sunny sky, temperatures hang in the 20s, an occasional wind chill in the upper teens for tomorrow, but so much better than today overall, and quiet weather overall, comparatively speaking. And then Friday's all right too. If you're traveling on Friday, if you're just hanging out on Friday, a cold day, yes, but a brighter day with some late day clouds, and those clouds ultimately lead to some snow that's dancing from the Dakotas down towards southern parts of the state. We're going to have to keep an eye on this, Rob. This is going to be a snowmaker for some in southern parts of the state for Friday night and into Saturday. But after this, we get colder. We're talking teens for highs into Sunday and into next week. I'll tell you what, 1:30 or so, I'll show you that 7-day forecast.
Yeah, I'm theoretically supposed to be driving back from central Iowa on Saturday, and that's starting to look maybe a little, got to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, that could be, they could be measuring that in, 4, 5, 6 inches of snow in northern Iowa into Saturday.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Yeah. We have talked a lot about what we've seen up in northern Minnesota, northeastern Minnesota, with a lot of snow, deep snow up there, but it has been a mess in southern Minnesota as well. A lot less snow, but a lot of wind whipping through, creating whiteout conditions at times. So we want to check in with the State Patrol's Sergeant Troy Christensen in Rochester. I was looking at some of the social media posts you put out there with a warning about some of the whiteout conditions. And certainly as that blowing snow can create some slick highways. You know, you don't get deep snow, but you get blowing snow, and that causes other problems. I mean, what have you seen?
So yesterday we had a lot of rainfall in the afternoon, so it just had a lot of moisture and precipitation on the roadway. So overnight that froze, so that we had a lot of icy spots on the roadways, especially our secondary roads. And then we had some snow this morning, probably an inch or two, but just with the blowing snow, it just caused a lot of whiteout conditions with slippery roads. So we're very busy with a lot of vehicles off the road, and also a lot of jackknife semis on our main corridor highways of I-90, I-35, and 52.
Yeah, where are the slickest spots that you're seeing, and what's causing them?
A lot of it's been on I-90 and I-35, and it's just due to commercial vehicles. We've had 19 jackknife semis, and it's due to the high winds and just the slippery road conditions.
Have you seen much then improvement today at all? I mean, the winds are still kind of pretty gusty out there. What's changing?
The winds are reduced quite a bit compared to earlier this morning, so the roadways have improved significantly compared to earlier this morning. About right around 11 o'clock, the roads improved quite a bit. So the primary roads are pretty good right now. It's just going to be the secondary roads throughout southern Minnesota will still be icy. Okay, so anyone that's traveling either to that area or from that area, what is your advice in terms of what to watch out for in what areas of southern Minnesota? So it's just important to allow enough travel time, just drive a speed that's safe for the conditions, and continue to watch the roads because they're going to change as you travel on southern Minnesota and different parts of the state.
Okay. Any significant injuries that you guys had to deal with this?
Well, fortunately, we've had 0 injury crashes in southern Minnesota. We've just been dealing with a lot of vehicles off the roads.
Yeah, okay. And then, of course, keeping an eye on what may happen into Saturday, as people may still be traveling for the weekend, as we've got another system coming through, certainly in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa.
So if we do have another system, just kind of watch the weather, and if you can plan around it, travel before the storm hits or after. If you can delay your travel, that's what we'd recommend doing. Just travel later on Sunday. Sunday will be a very busy travel day, but if you can delay it till Monday, that would probably be the safer way to do. But just watch the weather and plan accordingly.
And also keep an eye out, before we go, keep an eye out for the plows, keep an eye out for law enforcement, give people who are working plenty of room.
Yeah, we're very busy on the roads, and it's important if you do see MnDOT or any type of emergency responders alongside the roadway to move over lane, give us plenty of room to work and reduce your speeds, and always buckle up and eliminate distractions while you're driving.
All right, thanks very much. Have a good weekend. Hopefully people stay safe out there, and hopefully you continue to have injury-free travel in southern Minnesota.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
As well.
Yep, Sergeant Troy Christensen with the Minnesota State Patrol, talking about southern Minnesota where conditions are, it's drastically different north to south, but, still some hazards depending on, you get the wind instead of the deeper snow. So we're going to go to Lauren now, who's been eyeing this all morning. And again, you've seen varied things whether it's the metro, northern Minnesota, southern Minnesota. What are we looking at now?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Highway 65 on the Spring Lake Park, Blaine border, Central Avenue. It's been a problem spot all morning and afternoon as our roads return to normal here in the Twin Cities. We're looking at just about crash-free, but I've seen two different incidents on Highway 65. The second one I'm about to show you right here at Viking Boulevard near East Bethel involving an ambulance. I think we have 4 vehicles here involved in this crash. And as you see, the roads are fully clear. It doesn't look like we're dealing with much snow, but ice and wind have been huge problems for folks who are trying to drive through the Twin Cities. Not seeing a lot of traffic volume yet either, Rob, so that could be coming tonight. I want to show you a couple spots across the state that are experiencing less than ideal road conditions still. This is Proctor, I-35, just south of Duluth. And between Duluth and Hinckley, we're still seeing partially and at some point fully covered lanes on major roadways. Wind doesn't seem to be as big of an issue here in northern Minnesota as it is in southern Minnesota. As you heard the sergeant just say, we dealt with several jackknife semis over the last couple of hours in southern Minnesota as well. Just west of here over to Hibbing, 169 also looking partially covered with snow. Man, this is a glitchy shot here, but we're dealing with that slush too and slower speeds across Minnesota. Down to my hometown, Mankato, it looks like we're struggling on some ramps and bridges and overpasses. It's icy and partially covered in snow. This is Highway 14 and 169 near the Mankato-North Mankato border. One vehicle here off of the ramp. Some interesting details here. We had partially snow-covered ramps, but it looks like MnDOT crews have been able to make it through pretty smoothly around Mankato. 169 here is looking just fine, but southern Minnesota definitely still the biggest problem spot. About a dozen incidents that are actively happening from Rochester to the Mankato area. Here in the Twin Cities, speeds are looking nearly normal on 94, 494, 35W. It's just this Blaine to East Bethel to Isanti area of Highway 65 that just seems to be struggling with a couple different issues. So watch out for ice and wind, and even if your road is looking good, like you just said with the sergeant, give yourself plenty of time. Make sure you're pulling over when you see emergency vehicles and tow trucks. If you do happen to get stopped, stuck in the ditch, stuck on the side of the road, stay in your vehicle, especially as it starts to get dark out tonight. We saw a lot of folks exiting their vehicles when they were stuck on the side of the road today. Not safe, not recommended, especially if you don't have any high visibility wear. Just wait for law enforcement, Rob.
You know, that camera you showed down in Mankato really highlights a point where the roads, people are getting around. You know, it's not, yep. You know, you can travel. You can. But you hit a turn on a ramp, and suddenly there's an ice spot there that takes you by surprise and you wind up off the road. I mean, yeah. We all know that that can happen, and yet it still can take you by surprise.
Totally. Yep. And so give yourself reduced speeds across the board, but those ramps and overpasses are harder to treat and they're harder to plow. So it's going to be icy probably for the rest of the night. And we were talking about that travel rush. Haven't seen it at all this afternoon. So we could maybe see some delays around the Twin Cities this evening as people finally get out and travel to wherever they're going for Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lauren. Take a breath now, because that was a lot of information. Amber's been keeping an eye on the airports as well here, as we look at that. And I know at last check, it looked like the security checkpoints at MSP International, slow wait times.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too bad. I think the worst I saw was less than 10 minutes there. I think that was the first checkpoint in Terminal 2. So really not all that bad. A whole heck of a lot less going on at the airport than there are on the roads right now, Rob.
Yeah.
I have the FlightAware map. Chris, if we can grab producer PC here. I'd say about like a quarter of flights right now at MSP are delayed at the moment. We have seen, I believe it's at 188 across the course of the day at MSP delayed. But at the moment, we're only seeing 27, 5 cancellations. So really, you know, flights are getting off the ground eventually.
Yeah, not a huge effect there. It's
right.
just it's kind of the volume of travel. About 47,000 people expected through today, which is a few thousand shy of the record set for the MEA break last month. But which means it's not the record, but it's pretty darn close.
It's busy. You know, if you're still headed there today, just be ready to kind of wait a little bit and deal with crowds. If you're not a crowd person, Sorry.
But overall, the weather doesn't seem to be affecting flight delays, so that's good news.
I think things are looking just fine. People will get where they got to go today, Rob.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to a small business owner in southern Minnesota who I'd followed her story a lot in the spring, talking about the effects that tariffs were having on her business as she had started this, but a lot of her products, called Busy Baby, manufactured and imported from China because of the manufacturing facilities that we just can't make some of that stuff here. We're going to talk to her about how those tariffs have, how she's weathered those, and how she's pivoted her business plan a bit too, to innovate, to navigate that. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fox 9 all day on this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, as we deal with the aftermath of snow, but in many places still going on. This is a live look at Madeline Island in along northern Wisconsin's Lake Superior shoreline there. Snow piling up fast is what it says, and yes, getting a deluge up there. Something you would expect if you're in that neck of the woods with the lake effect snow, but they are getting walloped by it up there. We'll keep track of that as well. 20 after 1 o'clock here. You know, when President Trump's tariffs started taking effect this past spring, a lot of businesses that relied on global trade, you know, manufacturing overseas in China, were left facing some unexpected costs. Could they even bring their products in, especially for small businesses? And that included Rochester-based Busy Baby. But instead of folding, they got creative, they pivoted a bit, they expanded a bit. So joining me now is the founder, Beth Beneke, military veteran turned entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today, Beth.
Yeah, happy to be here.
This is, I followed your story a lot this spring. I heard some interviews with you. First of all, explain to me and for everybody the Busy Baby products, when you started this company and what it is.
Yeah, I started the company kind of by accident. 8 years ago, I had my first child and went out to lunch with some girlfriends who brought their babies, and the babies just did what all babies do, and that's drop everything on the ground. So I went online to try to buy something that would be a clean place for my son's food when we went out to eat, and then also keep his toys off the ground. And, you know, long story short, it didn't exist, so I created it. And now 8 years later, here we are. I have a line of 8 patented products that are all designed to keep babies things within reach and off the ground.
Yeah, and I know when I heard this past spring when these tariffs were taking effect, you had your next shipment of products, you know, that these are manufactured in China partially because you don't have that manufacturing capability in the U.S. And to create that would take years to try to get to where we can make that. So you had a shipment that you couldn't afford to pay the tariff on bringing it in. What happened next?
Well, we ended up leaving our products in China for about 8 weeks until the tariffs went from 145 down to 30%. And then I did a GoFundMe, and 600 plus people donated to help me cover that cost to bring some of that product into the U.S. And we were out of stock for 8 weeks. We didn't have any revenue coming in, all the same operating expenses. A lot of damage was done during that time. What's your current situation then as you continue to try to bring products in? What are you looking at right now? Yeah, right now it's a waiting game. Like I said, I've made a few pivots. Right now we're hanging by a thread. We are running a holiday survival sale, lowering prices so people can survive the holidays with the price of everything else going up, and also just to bring orders in to keep your lights on. But what I've done is I've got products in China still ready to come here, and I'm probably going to run out of stock again. But with the Supreme Court decision coming up, these tariffs very well could be ruled illegal. I don't want to risk sending it, paying a 20% tariff, and then hoping to get my money back. And I don't have the money to pay a 20% tariff either. Up until this year, we had no tariff on our products because they aren't something that can be easily made in the U.S. But I've pivoted to international distribution. So we have been now selling in South Korea. I just sent my first order to Czech Republic, and it looks like I'll be getting a PO soon for the UK and the EU. So the silver lining of this whole mess is that I guess I'm becoming a global brand. Yeah, and that's something that wouldn't have been part of your plan. So even though you're dealing with some pain and uncertainty here, this has forced you to get creative. And how much has that expanded or helped your small business? Well, I mean, it was part of our plan. We started 2 years ago to try to expand internationally and realized how really, really hard it is because every different country has different safety standards, different requirements. So we put it on the shelf because it's a lot to try to expand internationally. Now I'm doing it because I don't have a choice and I'm learning a lot along the way. Part of that expansion is those other markets are much smaller than the U.S. We start out very small. We build a relationship with a distributor and then they test their market. And then eventually that will grow and hopefully be significant. But right now it's just a teeny tiny, bit of income that hopefully we can survive until things normalize and then really expand even more.
Yeah, so what's your message now? I mean, I know you're careful not to get in a political debate. You're talking about this from the standpoint of a entrepreneur and small business owner. What is your message to lawmakers, et cetera, about where you hope things go?
Oh gosh, so many messages for lawmakers, but the overall message is, can you guys please work together to take care of your constituents? Because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just an American small business owner, Army veteran, trying to make a living for my family. And everything that's going on in the government is really having a negative impact. My husband's a crop farmer, so we've kind of got hit on that side too. And it's just making life really hard right now. And I feel like a lot of our Congress people are busy fighting each other instead of fighting for us as their constituents. So my message would be, work for us, please.
I mean, how much have you been able to reach out to folks, who have authority or sway in Washington to try to get that message heard?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Washington a few times. I've done a couple press conferences on Capitol Hill, one right before the Supreme Court hearing. I've been very involved. Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith have both been huge advocates for small businesses being affected by tariffs from day one. My local congressman, I cannot get a hold of. I can't get a word with him. He is on the Republican side, so I can understand why he might not want to talk to me. But having those two senators and some of the others in the group that have been really advocating for small businesses has been helpful. And then having myself and some other small business owners speak out helps to educate not only the people in Congress, but Americans. Like, I've been trying to manufacture in the U.S. I would 100% do it if I could. But for a lot of reasons, I can't do that. So for now, we need some predictable policies so we can find a way ahead. Yeah,
I think you said that we're just not equipped in the U.S. To manufacture, using some of the components that you use in your products, that we don't have that capability in the U.S. at this point?
Well, that's just one small part of it. But the biggest part is for small businesses, using myself as an example, silicone manufacturers in the U.S., they do exist. But because the products are relatively inexpensive, they require you to make a lot of them so that they can make a profit for their own business model. And cost of business in the U.S. is much higher, not just because of labor, but property taxes, all the various insurance manufacturers have to carry. So the manufacturers in the U.S. want me to produce 1 million units, and I maybe do, tens of thousands. I just am too small for the business models to work together here in the U.S.
All right. Well, you said you're kind of hanging on by a thread right now. I mean, what does the next 6 months look like to you?
I'm just going to keep having faith and hope and pray that we get through this. I honestly don't know. I really don't know at this time.
All right. Well, thank you for the update. Again, I've been interested in your story over the last 6 months because you are a microcosm of people that kind of get, again, trying to stay non-political about this, but sort of get caught up in feeling the effects of this, regardless of where you stand on the political issues, that you're dealing with this on the ground as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and it's hard to have a business plan when everything keeps changing.
Yeah, well, that's quite the education that you've had just this year. Thank you so much. Best of luck with this. What has become a very successful entrepreneur story, and now kind of trying to mount these challenges here that threaten that success. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Beth Beneke with Busy Baby in the Rochester area. Thank you. Have a good holiday weekend.
You too.
All right. It is coming up on 1:30 now, and boy, still ahead, we're going to check in on weather, traffic, the whole ball of wax here as we deal with a lot of people trying to get out and about. Didn't see a lot of traffic this morning, but that's going to start picking up.
It will. And Rob, we're actually hearing a little bit more about how this storm played out in different areas this morning. I just got notified from the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department that a man was actually killed this morning while trying to clean up after that storm. This happening in Alden Township, kind of near Two Harbors. So it sounds like around 10:30 this morning, they were called to a home in the township, and they found a 69-year-old man dead underneath a fallen tree. His wife said that she had left about like 45 minutes prior to finding him. When she left, he was out snow blowing. So high winds, heavy snow. The sheriff's department believe that's what led to the tree falling and falling on this man here.
So that's believed, yeah. So that would be directly a storm-related fatality here with the ice and the snow and the weight and the wind.
Yeah.
Wow, that's just another thing, you know, to keep in mind, especially in those areas that got such a larger amount of snow.
Well, and that area also saw those massive wildfires earlier this year too, so I would have to imagine that the integrity of some of these trees might be not as good as it was prior to those fires.
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Yeah. All right, Rob, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to check in with Keith, we're going to check in with Lauren, and then we're going to head up to Tofty, where our good friend Chuck Olson is waiting for us to check in.
Yeah, no relation. But yeah, we'll find out more what
different
the snow...
kind of Olson.
Yeah, different, yeah. The snow totals and experience up there along the North Shore.
Oh, and a live look in Beaver Bay.
Oh, kind of close to where Chuck is.
Yes, that's why I picked it.
Yeah, we'll be right back on All Day.
It's 9 all day. I don't know what to do with myself. It's not a 9. It's in the middle of the afternoon. I can't say good morning. Lauren, what do we do? We're on the backside of all of our snow, and the snow just keeps on churning for northwest Wisconsin. I've had to add the 18 there. We knew we would, but it's now legitimately so. Areas around and just to the east of Ironwood, Wisconsin, or Ironwood, Michigan now, into Michigan and the UP are now at 18 official inches of snow, but parts of Highway 2 there are between 15 and 17 inches of snow. Drummond, Wisconsin now at 17 inches of snow as that lake enhanced machine is churning. That's on the backside of our departing area of low pressure. But all of us are nicely placed in the metro between roughly 2 and 5.5 inches of snow in the Twin Cities proper. A lot of 1 and 2s in southern Minnesota, getting up into the 2 and 3s in the South Metro. 3.1 officially at the airport is what we'll go down as, unless they revise that slightly. If we nickel dime maybe another 2/10 of an inch between 7 and 9 a.m. this morning. We'll see as we go into the afternoon. The North Metro around 2 to 4 inches on the West Metro, around 4 to 5.5 across the North Metro, and then 6 to 8 on average across central Minnesota, becoming 8s, 9s, and 10s in towards Duluth and into parts of northern Wisconsin as you quickly go into 10s, 11s, and of course you get into that snow belt region. You're at the foot plusers, no problem whatsoever. As you can see, the organized snow shower is getting on out of here. The lake enhanced snow just continues to churn, and as you well know, if you have family there, if you're going there, if you're from there, that would be the holiday travel reasons. Well, that's not where you travel today because the snow machine is on. That will pivot into the UP this evening and tonight and into the day tomorrow. For us, your mileage varies on how you can clear that sky out. We've got open sky conditions down in the south of the Minnesota River Valley, but that's not warming you up at all as our refrigerated air is just blasting in here on these gusty breezes. Temperatures trying to get to 30 in southwestern Minnesota, but that's still frozen. We are all frozen in the mid to upper 20s. We haven't budged for the day today as we get a constant influx of cold air advection on sustained winds between 20 and 30 miles per hour, but our gusts are between 30 and 45 miles per hour. Another gust of 41 has popped in this past hour, and we just stay blustery and raw. Based on the sustained winds, our wind chill is currently 13 in the metro, widespread wind chills in the single digits, but when we get that blast of a gust, our wind chill temporarily, it might just be for 10 or 15 seconds, but that whip of the air gives us a wind chill closer to or even below 0 at times for the day today. That's why it's so dramatically yikes outside. Again, we had record-breaking highs in the 50s just this past Sunday. was it just a week and a half ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? I don't remember, but we had 70s, if you remember, that Friday and Saturday back 2.5 weeks ago. Today, blustery and cold. I could have said bitterly cold. That would have worked for today, even though our morning was still above average in the upper 20s. An average morning low is 25. We were 27 this morning. We're going to 29 this afternoon with wind chills in the teens. It's just so gusty. The gusts begin to settle down tonight as we'll keep it in the low 20s, a lot of upper teens for greater Minnesota, but a wind chill will be in the single digits as we start to, again, decrease the breezes. And a bit of a northwest breeze tomorrow, but comparatively speaking to today, walk in the park. We can call it quiet. Certainly brighter as well with more of a partly sunny sky. 27 degrees for your Thanksgiving. An occasional wind chill maybe around 17 or so. Partly cloudy, quiet on Friday as well at 25. And then a system rolls through the Dakotas down into Iowa. It does give more than a glancing blow to southern Minnesota. So if you're in southern Minnesota, if you've got family traveling to or you're traveling to southern Minnesota or into Iowa or into South Dakota, pay attention to our Friday night and Saturday forecast. It would come Friday night late into Saturday. Southern Minnesota, a few inches are possible. Deeper snows in northern Iowa, though. Parts of Nebraska, too. We're going to get a little bit of that here in the Twin Cities. It might be more than just brushing off. We might get a little bit of shovelable action on the 94 corridor. That's still 3 and 4 days out, though, all things said and done. So we'll refine that tomorrow and into Friday proper based on path at 26 for a high. But a cold burst comes after that. Highs only in the teens. We struggle after that. 14 for a high on our first day of December. A lot of single digits for greater Minnesota with sunshine, beautiful day, but cold. And then back to the 20s into Tuesday. If I had an 8 or a 9 or a 10-day forecast, nothing thawing at that regard. And if we're not careful, averages are going to meet us in the frozen zone. Averages today 37, averages are 36 on Thursday and Friday, 35, Saturday and Sunday, 34. For Monday and Tuesday, 33 for Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And by next Friday, a week from Friday, an average high is now frozen. And so we will, by the time we get to next Friday, remain frozen by that point, but we'll still be below average as well. I don't like the thought of that. I don't even know where I was going with that, but I didn't like it. My conclusion just wasn't good, Lauren. I don't know where that was.
Yeah, that is the case. We are seeing windy conditions, as you can tell from this shot. I wanted to show you 694 because it looks like traffic volume is picking up across the Twin Cities. Folks finally able to head out of town. No crashes here, and as you can see, roads are looking fully clear. Different story on Highway 65, which has been, staying in the North Metro, the most problematic road this afternoon. This is at Constance Boulevard in the East Bethel area, and here on the left side of your screen, we have a bit of a fender bender, and they took down a light pole. So no left turns here on Highway 65 and Constance Boulevard. We have law enforcement here blocking this left turn lane. They're going to have to do something about this intersection before they open the left lanes up. When talking about this road, I don't know exactly why it's been such a problem, but I do know we have construction zone stoplights up. They're a bit more of like cone shaped, and I think snow is getting stuck inside of them, and it's a little bit harder to see green lights versus red lights. We've seen that issue before in other winter storms. No official word from law enforcement that is a problem, but we've got 3 active incidents right now on Highway 65. Another one you want to know about as you're headed out the door. This is just over the border in Roberts, Wisconsin, a couple of miles east of Hudson. We have a big backup in the eastbound direction as you cross over the border into Wisconsin, slowing us down a couple of miles toward Robert. Then once you get to Baldwin, things are looking good. But if you're headed out the door to Grandma's house in Menominee or Eau Claire or anywhere that you have to take 94 in the Wisconsin area over the border, keep that in mind. It's looking a little slow right now. 694, our slowest route across the Twin Cities. That's that traffic I just showed you on the Fridley-New Brighton border. The Burnsville construction zone also looking a little slow here on 35W. But for the most part, if you're headed out the door around the Twin Cities, Rob, the roads are clear, which is great news. And they're pretty much looking dry. Very few incidents in the Twin Cities, northern Minnesota, southern Minnesota. A different story. Watch out for that wind and icy roads as you head out the door.
Yeah, and that incident you just showed, the 3 incidents at that intersection on 65 is, again, not knowing what goes on, but that's a good example of it could be something taking you by surprise as you're trying to turn through an intersection.
Yes, yeah, we saw several fender benders, which tells me there was some confusion happening at intersections this morning into this afternoon on 65. But yeah, 3 different incidents slowing you down right there on Central Avenue.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Appreciate your hard work today. It's been a long, long day. All right, as we continue to watch our weather and the effects of it as we deal with the aftermath, we want to check back in on the North Shore with one of our favorite guests, and no relation, Chuck Olson, the photographer who runs Wild North TV. Also with a great, well, that's not a hat, it's a hood. That is beautiful. Joining us from Tofty. Boy, you look cold. How is it feeling?
Getting colder by the minute.
Yes, you sit and wait.
Yeah, it's really, you know, as you saw in the weather report, we have 30 to 45 mile per hour gusts here, which means I have some gigantic waves behind me, which as a photographer this is a very exciting time of year because the waves can get, you know, 10, 20 feet. I saw a report that tonight the waves could get as high as 28 feet on Lake Superior. So it's a dramatic time of year here on Lake Superior.
Have you been taking some photos in today, or will you tonight? And that's going to be challenging as well in that weather.
I just dug out of my driveway moments ago. So after this, I'm going to go out and see if I can get some good photos of the big waves.
All right. Well, tell us what this storm, how it has impacted that area around Tofty in the North Shore.
Yeah, so Tofty was only about, we got about 4 or 5 inches here close to shore, more like 8 inches inland. The further inland you go, the more snow there is because the lake is so warm that the early precipitation was not snow by the lake shore. So it tends to get deeper the more inland you go. About a half hour south of here, Silver Bay, around like Tetagooch State Park, they got 10 to 12 inches. Grand Marais, I think, is around 6 to 8, and the further you go up the Gunflint Trail, the deeper it gets. So really varies by how close you are to shore and kind of what your elevation is and where the storm hit. So anywhere from like 4 to 12 inches along the North Shore.
Well, if anyone's traveling up that direction for the holiday or, you know, what is it like getting around at this point?
It's okay. There were reports of some jackknife semis on Highway 61 earlier today. I think things are pretty clear at this point. I know in Cook County, you know, they're out at 4 in the morning clearing all of the roads, and they're pretty on top of it. In fact, you know, the highway guys are disappointed if we don't have some snow because, you know, they like to have something to do in the winters. But yeah, the roads are pretty decent. But once you get off the main roads, it can get dicey.
How much snow then? You mentioned you just had to clear your driveway. I mean, how much were you dealing with in your driveway?
Well, it's really the winds. You know, in some areas there's almost nothing, and then there are some, you know, 12, 18-inch drifts in the middle of it. So it's kind of all over the map. I need to upgrade my snowblower is one thing I learned today.
Well, yeah, well, there's plenty of time now for that since it's still November. And as a outdoors photographer and a resident of that neck of the woods, are you loving this?
Oh yeah, no, all my photographer friends were like, bring it on, you know, we're excited for this. You know, it can take a lot of different forms. It's really nice when it's kind of like a sticky snow without a lot of wind and all the trees get coated, but with all this high wind, it kind of it's really blown off a lot of that. But there's still, you know, it's still a beautiful scene. The whole landscape is transformed into the winter landscape now, and we're all ready for it.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch those waves crashing over the rocks over your right shoulder there. That is when you get a good one coming in.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that is. All right, thanks so much for taking some time and standing out in the bitter wind chill for us today. Have a good weekend. All right.
You too, man. Take care.
You bet. Tofty, Minnesota. Chuck Olson, who's joined us several times, a photographer up there, taking some. We last talked to him for the Northern Lights. He had some great photos of that as he went out and about, and now obviously very scenic as well. All right. We are going to take a break, but when we come back, you know, it's become a tradition for the Minnesota Wild to play a game the day after Thanksgiving in the afternoon at what is now Grand Casino Arena. But with this tradition this Friday, they are doing something very groundbreaking with an alternative broadcast in the Ojibwe native language. We're going to have a conversation about that with the folks who are involved in making that broadcast happen when we come back on All Day. Welcome back to All Day on this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I'm Rob Olson in for Amy Hockert. The day after Thanksgiving, meantime, on Friday, is a day that is more than shopping. It's also a day to celebrate Native American culture and traditions. Native American Heritage Day was established by Congress in 2008. And this year, the Minnesota Wild are honoring that day at their afternoon game at Grand Casino Arena when they host the Colorado Avalanche. And a big part of that, and first of its kind, is that the Wild and FanDuel Sports will offer an Ojibwe-language game broadcast on Friday afternoon. So joining us now is Chato Gonzalez. Let me make sure that your Ojibwe name, Ombishkebinis?
Ombishkebinis.
Ombishkebinis.
Yeah.
Okay. You're one of the three speakers doing this broadcast. Thanks for joining us. This is a big deal. I mean, this is the first of its kind. How did this come about?
I guess how it actually came about was a friend of ours, Bobito Boyd from Mille Lacs, was helping open the new arena, the Grand Casino Arena. And somebody from the arena, from the organization, must have enjoyed her opening, or Ojibwe opening, and asked if we could do some more. And that's when she brought in the three of us to kind of help assist with that.
Yeah. So three of you that will be doing this alternative, audio broadcast on Friday. And how exactly, I mean, is it play-by-play in color? And I mean, how are you preparing for this, and how are you going to present it?
Well, we'll actually be on an app, so I don't think you'll see us. But yeah, it's pretty much a play-by-play. Maji Goneash, Gordon Jourdain, he's the elder of the bunch. He's a first language speaker from Lac LaCroix and an avid hockey player, been playing since you can remember. He'll be the main one announcing the game. And he's a teacher of mine, and I'll be assisting with him. But kind of the most exciting part about it is one of our students, who's a 17-year-old from our Ojibwe immersion school, Wadukadading in Hayward, Wisconsin. He's actually going to help announce the game as well. And so, it's one thing having our first language speakers. It's another thing having my generation, who's been doing this for a couple decades, but really to see the outcome of our students, of our children that'll be carrying all this on is amazing.
Yeah, I know this is a kind of a combined effort, Grand Casino, Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, and the Midwest Indigenous Immersion Network nonprofit that helps, expand and preserve the vitality of indigenous languages. And so how significant towards that celebration, that preservation, is being able to do something like this for a major league sporting event, National Hockey League?
I think the visibility of it alone is really powerful to not only just the Ojibwe people, but indigenous peoples all around the state, all around the country, all around the world. This is going to be internationally broadcasted into Canada and other places of the world. And it's I think one of the biggest thing is that we always have to remember is the oppression that's been done to our people, and being able to overcome that and to be able to succeed and to be able to do these things on a global level is really showing the world that we're not just a third world community, that we have everything that everybody else has. We could talk about everything everybody else can talk about. That, we have a rich language, we have a rich culture, and we have a rich community. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I think comes from this.
Yeah, and of course, again, this is part of Friday's, the day honoring Native American Heritage Day. And how important is it for people to keep that on mind on Friday? This, again, a day that people think about shopping and holidays and et cetera, that it is Native American Heritage Day on the day after Thanksgiving. What do you want people to think of and keep in mind on that day?
I think my biggest thing is just to remember that we're here, we're part of the country, we're part of the history, that we're not a thing of the past. And I think a lot of the barriers that we come into through life, through trying to maintain our identity, our language, our culture, is the mainstream wants to look at us as a thing of the past, as a thing of history. But in reality, we're moving along in society just like everybody else, and we're gonna do that as Ojibways.
So if people want to listen to this broadcast, I understand that you can do it through the FanDuel app or website, and if you have to be a subscriber to it, or you have to be able to log in through your cable or satellite provider, and then select from there the Ojibwe language version. Is that right?
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah. Well, what happens next? I mean, do you hope to keep doing this down the road?
It's, I love hockey. I grew up playing hockey. Ojibwe-language grew up playing hockey. Ganunde, who's new to the sport, doesn't know anything about the sport, but he just loves sports. He loves language. He's an avid wrestler. We hope to continue this into other domains, not just the NHL, but any other domain that we can do this specifically around hockey, but also, we have a lot of other sports. We have lacrosse, we have football, we have, the Vikings and different people like that there's no reason why we can't bring this there as well.
All right. Well, best of luck with those efforts to keep pushing that forward, and I'll be logging in, even though I don't speak the language. I want to hear this broadcast on Friday, and I wish you all the best with that inaugural broadcast in Ojibwe for the Minnesota Wild.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for taking some time. Appreciate it. Pretty fascinating here. First of its kind alternative language broadcast in Ojibwe, celebrating, of course, that Friday is very meaningful to many of us, and certainly the Native American community. All right. Before we go, something else is we're talking about sports that is happening on Thanksgiving, and
Packers, baby.
Of course, it's the Packers.
Packers. Maybe there's somebody here from Michigan, Detroit, whatever, that's also a Lions fan. Not that I really care, but they care. Packers-Lions game tomorrow. Lions traditionally play on Thanksgiving, so this is something they've been looking out for. It's a biggie. I know it's a Thanksgiving tradition for my family. We always watch the game on Thanksgiving Day at noon tomorrow. It's going to air on all Fox stations, Rob, but if you're streaming it somewhere, if looking to stream it somewhere, you can do it for free on an app called Tubi. Do you know what Tubi is?
I'm well familiar with Tubi.
Me too. I love free things. So if you want to watch it on Tubi, that is an option tomorrow at noon. And we have a little bit of an interview with the business program coordinator with the company. We can listen to that here.
You have family in town, you're always looking for something great to watch. We have football coming up. Big games are happening. You'll be able to watch it on your local Fox affiliate or on Tubi as well.
That's right.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, Thursday is one of the most storied lineups in NFL history. It's the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. They're playing in Detroit this year. You can watch it for free on Fox and, of course, streaming for free on Tubi. It is going to be an incredible game. Also, if you're not there for the football, also music fans might love the concert. They're having a halftime show with Jack White.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
All right, there you go. So another way to get sports on Tubi, and also the Super Bowl.
Also the Super Bowl. So that's huge, honestly. So you can stream anywhere, right, Rob?
Yeah,
So
well,
anywhere you've got internet, basically.
the more options, the better. So
Yes.
Tubi really trying to like expand into some more of those live sporting events.
Yeah.
Lots of movies, other content on there as well.
Which
but,
is what I've primarily used it for in the past, because again, I love free things. People are tired of paying a lot of money for streaming subscriptions, Rob. So something like Tubi is a great option for people looking to save a bit of cash.
Yeah.
I mean, streaming's expensive sometimes.
Yeah, and a great option on Thanksgiving to watch football.
Or movie nights, you know. Don't be afraid of ads. I've got some friends that are like, I don't want to watch ads. It doesn't matter. Watch an ad. It's not going to kill you.
Well, yeah, it's watch an ad or pay a subscription.
Literally, I will save the $20 a month if I like to watch a couple ads. I do not care.
Yeah, you
So-
can pay for it with your money or with your time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, well, it's been a busy couple of hours here as we
Yep.
continue to track this storm system, really the effects of it on travel. So hopefully everybody gets to where they're going and gets back again safely.
Very much so. All right, Rob, we got 10 seconds. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm back here with Lauren tomorrow. Rob, have a great holiday.
Thank you. Very thankful.